The sports scene in Phoenix is pretty awesome, and the really cool thing is I could go downtown and see the Phoenix Suns play or watch a baseball game. I was in for a treat on this day. I got to see the Cardinals intercept Matthew Stafford and the Lions something like 5 times and return 2 of them for touchdowns. It was just a thrilling game. But none of this, as much as I like all 3 of these teams, none of this compares to spring training baseball. Now, I'd only been to one spring training baseball game in Florida, and the thing about the Grapefruit League is that it's spread out all over the state. The Cactus League in Arizona is all right in Phoenix. So half the Major League Baseball teams are represented here, but some of them do share stadiums with one other team. The Giants and the Cubs have their own stadiums, and they're the most expensive tickets. You're going to pay $20 to $30 for those tickets. But at the rest of these stadiums, you're going to pay about $5 to $8. It's an amazing value, and it's so much fun, and it's just great to see all these major leaguers in one place. So for RVers who love Major League Baseball, this is an amazing vacation. You can spend a month here and hardly spend any money on these baseball games and just have a fantastic time. So if size really does matter, check this out. This is Black Rock RV Park, and this is a normal size pull-through site. Plenty of room for your vehicles and enough room to spare for a pickup football game. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the folks here at Black Rock RV Park have a sport of choice, and it's not football, it's four-wheeling. It seems like nearly everyone here has one, and for good reason too. Black Rock is surrounded by BLM. BLMs are public lands run by the Bureau of Land Management. Now Stan here was kind enough to take me out on the BLMs to go exploring. He wanted to show me an old abandoned corral. Unfortunately, his four-wheeler is a one-seater, so he invited me to ride my scooter with him. It was a little tricky on the large loose rocks, but it was well worth it. What I learned from the residents here was absolutely fascinating. There are lots of resorts like this out in the middle of the desert in Arizona that are just super cheap, like a little over $1,000 per year. Even the park models are quite affordable. I also learned that the naked bookseller is not just a myth, he's for real. Paul Weiner is a local legend. He's about 70 years old, and he's been running this bookstore in the nude for many years. I'd long since forgotten that the residents told me about him when I wandered into this bookstore, and lo and behold, he's wearing nothing but a tiny loincloth, if you can even call it that. You know, I have to admit I wasn't really prepared for this, so I didn't stay and chat with him. The library at Black Rock was more my speed, and everybody was fully clothed here. This year I chose to upgrade my campground in Las Vegas while I worked at the World Series of Poker. It's Thousand Trails on Boulder Highway. This is a membership campground, but they do have monthly rates for non-members, and that's what I chose to do. A little bit pricier than last year, but a definite upgrade. Now, Boulder Station Casino is a block away, and I could see it from the campground. The Mount Charleston fire was about 30 miles away, and I could see it plain as day. The Mount Charleston fire burned for nearly 2 months, consuming 28,000 acres, but it made for some gorgeous skies and sunsets. The campground itself is not in a great area, but if you just want to go a couple miles, Wetlands Park is practically just around the corner. Wetlands Park is truly an oasis in the desert with a little stream running through it and just teeming with wildlife. And it feels like you're not even in a big city. But if you look off in the distance, you can see the strip. So my first tip today, and I think it's number 11 if I'm not mistaken, Good Sam roadside assistance. You got to get this insurance. It's a very nominal fee. I think you pay $100 a year, something like that. So my computer died in the middle of the desert. I mean, I was in the middle of nowhere, about 40 miles from Quartzsite, which is where my campground was. So Good Sam came out and picked up both of my vehicles. They loaded the van onto the truck, and then they hitched up the camper to the back. And they took my camper 40 miles to my campground, unhitched it there, and then I don't know how far to Parker, Arizona, where the mechanic was. It was another maybe 50 miles. And all this was free. Now this might have been $1,000 tow without this insurance. I think I pay $100 a year for it. More on this coming. I do want to do a short video on Good Sam roadside assistance, so do look out for that. My next tip number 12. Always, 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 this is so important. Chalk the wheels when you're hitching and unhitching it. Making sure that camper doesn't move is especially important when you're a dummy like me. So yeah, I did this. I jumped on the bumper of my van, hopped up and down a couple of times, and it came loose. So yeah, my camper came crashing down in a very awkward way and landed on the tongue. The hydraulics collapsed, and yeah, it landed right on its tongue, and had to get some help from the neighbors again, but they were happy to help. We got it jacked back up, and nothing was damaged too bad. But if the wheels weren't chalked, that could have been a very serious accident. So a lot of times when the hitch is stuck, it's as simple as releasing the emergency brake. That'll sometimes pop it loose. Now, if that doesn't do the trick, go take a peek underneath and see which direction the vehicle needs to go to maybe pop it loose. And then all you have to do is put it in gear, either in reverse or in drive. Just put it in gear and it'll pop loose usually. Well, that's all I got for now. Be sure to tune in to the next episode where I head to Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado.